Hello, people of YouTube.
Hello.
I am American McGee.
I'm Martin.
And we are coming to you live from the underground lair in Shanghai, sometimes referred to as the rabbit hole, but I don't really want to broadcast from inside of a rabbit hole. That sounds kind of wrong.
Would you rather broadcast from a rabbit hole or a dungeon?
A dungeon. That sounds cooler.
There you go.
So, what have we got going on today? It is much of what you have come to expect when you tune into our weekly live streams. That is going to be art review for Alice Asylum. We'll also talk a bit about Alice Asylum's story and design and development and business development in general. What else have we got going on today, Martin?
Prizes, as usual.
What are we giving away to the happy people for prizes today?
Posters.
Woo, posters. Let me see if I can...
Yep, we have poster tubes, pre-packed, ready to go. We believe it's these prints.
We believe.
That's inside the tubes.
Oh, boy.
It feels like it. It feels like a double poster tube, and this is the only double poster thing we did, so it's probably a good bet that this is right.
All right, well, so this is the Cheshire Guide and the Heart of Darkness Queen poster, and of course these are both beautiful images that were done up by our artist Alex Crowley, and this was a series of images actually he referred to as the Dark Symmetry series. Is that right?
Yes.
All right.
That is correct.
So yeah, in the poster tubes you will or should find these two posters, and we're going to give away 3 of those to start. That is 1 at each half hour. And then, of course, there's a 4th if we survive today's lag storm, we're going to see. But for the 4th and final prize, I think we decided we were going to let you, the audience, decide what that prize was. I think they were going to spam the chat.
We'll have a try.
We'll have a try.
But if they don't come up with anything good,
we'll just
overrule them.
That's sort of how our crowd design works. Like you're welcome to join in on the crowd design discussions, and of course those have been phenomenal. But if there is an idea that's floated and somehow even a large majority of people seem to be behind it, as the dictator in chief, I still can come in and say no, we're not going to do that. But actually, so far, the crowd design sessions we've had have been really good. And the output from those have been really good.
Yeah.
I think if you do check out our Patreon, you will find there are quite a few entries where we post up the links to the crowd design sessions. So even if you miss one of those sessions, you can tune in later on. So for instance, over on Patreon, this is a public post. It's called Slumber to Chaos. And this contains the storyboards for the opening of the game. So this is sort of like what we envision to be the scenes that will start Alice Asylum, and we're of course going to get to spend some time traveling around inside of the little house. Do you say little or Liddell?
Little.
I think I say little as well. And so yeah, this post on Patreon, Slumber to Chaos, it actually is talking about when that session would happen. I think it's the following post in which I actually put up the link to the session itself. So here you go, crowd design session number 13, and you can click on that link, and that will actually take you to where we have uploaded the crowd design session onto YouTube after it was live on Discord. If all that sounds incredibly confusing and you don't worry, just go over to Patreon and click this link about the crowd design session, and you can give it a listen.
Everybody should already be on YouTube, so it should be very easy for them to find.
In our experience, when we think something's easy, when we think something's obvious, there's always going to be
someone will find a little loophole.
This is correct. And so I find it difficult to believe that anything that we believe is easy is actually easy for everyone out there. And despite all we do to try to make things easy and obvious, we often fail.
Meh.
We won't say anything more about that. Let us get into art review. But
dog.
She's been told, come here.
Lulu.
She's been told
Treats.
That she was requested to be on the stream today. And of course, shown there at the start of the stream, frolicking around the water park, the dog exercise park. So we will have some Lulu today. Now she's completely, her head will not turn away from the bucket of treats that Martin has there. She's sort of locked on like a heat-seeking missile. So no matter which way you turn her body, the head will remain synced up with the treats.
It's like a gyroscope.
She's pretty amazing. I think we could harness this for some sort of technology. I don't know exactly
Can
what
we make her
yet.
do something? Or is she just going to spaz out?
What are you going to make her do?
I don't know.
Ask her to shake hands.
Oh, Lulu, shake. Well, that's...
Oh, that was pretty good. Okay,
Jesus Christ.
Okay, get out of here. All right, there you go. There's your daily dose of Lulu. Right, let's get into some art review. Speaking of things that splash around in the water, this is a walrus. So this is a concept that was done up by Norm. He is, of course, one of the artists who worked on the original Alice game. And what he's done here is a walrus, but obviously it's a bit of a fake walrus.
It's a dude in a suit.
It is a dude in a suit.
It's quite funny.
It's very funny, and I think this whole series is actually really funny. So where this will take place, where you'll see this in the game, is our folder's not set up very well, is it? It goes Lulu, Walrus, and then Slingshot. All right. Well, I'm going to do this thing where I cut to us while we surf around in the images here.
Sneaky way.
It's usually sneaky. I usually have it going on in the background while we're talking. But so, yeah, there's a whole collection of characters. So this is obviously the caterpillar, but being played by an actor. The idea here is that Alice will encounter all of these fake characters in the circus realm, and that is also what we refer to as denial. So as many of you know, the narrative structure of Asylum is based on tracing the steps through PTSD. Otherwise, we could refer to that as an encounter with chaos. Depending on the era in which you make reference to this thing, it used to be called shell shock.
Mm-hmm.
And it was called shell shock because people came back from the war and they had been obviously blown up and had shells falling around them and seen all kinds of horrible things. But the doctors and the psychologists of the day believed that this had more to do with bombs dropping on their heads than anything else, when in fact it was their internal confrontation with chaos, oftentimes seeing themselves or their friends commit acts of horrific violence or otherwise, in the necessity to survive, that it created a cognitive dissonance. So they came away from that, changed. Now we would call that today PTSD, but back in the day that was called being shell-shocked. Well, one of the stages of PTSD is going into it's one of the early stages of PTSD is called denial. And so what we've talked about doing is rendering denial as a sort of beautiful but fake place. And it's going to be a fairground, a circus. But sitting right at the middle of denial is going to be this house of horrors.
Look at it.
It's pretty horrible.
To the tea party.
To the tea party.
Oh, yeah. I'd trust that sign.
Yeah, so this will be how you escape from denial. It is essentially saying to us that you must confront your fears and descend into horror in order to get through. So you can't go round this process. You have to go through this process in order to be healed and take something of value away from the encounter with chaos.
Those eyes.
Those are pretty freaking creepy.
Through the mask, you can see it's quite sinister behind there.
Yes, it is. Well, and so the whole concept here is that these circus characters and the circus itself is all a giant illusion. And it's being hosted by the Tweedles, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and they have enlisted a bunch of actors. I think we may come to find out that most of these actors have sort of been kidnapped or co-opted into this business of putting on this show. But it is, of course, all a show. It's a facade. It's all fakery, and it is a distraction from Alice's true mission, I guess we could say.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, Norm did up all of these characters. They're all dressed up as various well-known Wonderland characters: the Mad Hatter and the Walrus and the Caterpillar and the Cheshire Cat, the Carpenter. But it's all fakery.
This is a great poster.
It is amazing. I think we for sure are going to turn this into a print poster.
I think we will.
I think so.
Super chats came in during that little speech. Knives Sama, super chats. Can I get a shout out? Big fan.
Mm-hmm.
You can.
There you go. Knives Sama. Thank you for the super chat. We do, of course, use your super chats to purchase treats for Lulu, and that is the last container of treats in the house.
Like, there's 4 in it or something.
Don't say that too loud; she'll get angry. She's looking at us. So yeah, we are going to run out of treats soon. So if you want to contribute to the Lulu super treats super chat, I don't know,
the super treat fund.
There you go. That's one way to do it. Thank you, Knives, for that.
And RJ also super chats, but doesn't say anything because the super chat was below YouTube's threshold for typing. Yeah. But thank you anyway, RJ.
Thank you, RJ. You do have to put in a bit more than 99 cents.
$2?
I don't know.
It's YouTube. It's not us.
Yeah, I don't keep up with this very much. But yeah, seems that RJ wanted to say something maybe, but thank you for the super chat. That will go to some Lulu treats. RJ, thank you very much.
Keep an eye out.
All right. I think we... There's some more there. There's another one.
Yeah. Old pal Connor Carbon. Denial, is it a river level?
Ha ha.
Ha 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 ha.
Very funny, Connor. In case you don't know, that is a famous line. I don't know which movie that was in, but it was denial is more than a river in Egypt. It's something you would say to someone who's obviously in denial, as Alice would be at this stage in the game's story.
Is that a different version of the poster? Different fonts?
Of this one.
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. So there is this as the updated version of the poster. And this is something that is a work in progress. Now, I know that our artists, Omri and Alex and Joey, they all do listen in on these streams. And from time to time, I get somewhat, I don't know, disgruntled or angry emails from them because I may have not shared the most recent image, or I may have misrepresented their intentions when it came to some element or other. Just for the record, for everybody who's watching, all of this is work in progress, and there's a lot of work happening. It's coming in fast and furious from various sources all around the world. And so when you hear us talking about these things here, keep in mind that nothing's set in stone. I will very often perhaps make mistakes about how I'm representing what we intend to do with the story or the characters. So, if you hear something that sounds a little bit off, feel free to send a gentle reminder, but certainly no reason to have a freak out, because I'm not making mistakes intentionally. And we are in a kind of brainstorming, creative process zone. We're not writing scripture here.
Nothing's set in stone just yet at this juncture.
Not just yet. So yeah, this is an updated version of the poster. This is getting work done on it because it is going to be turned into a print poster that we will share with our patrons. And of course, this is going to play a very big role in the denial, the whole theme. So there's going to be an entire section at the start of the game that is based on the concept of denial, and it is this circus area. If you head over to the Asylum wiki, which you will find at AmericanMcGee.com, you can actually see the stages of the story. So you'll see here that we start off in slumber. That's basically Alice and her family at home. Everything's fine. This is pre-fire. Prior fire.
Stop it.
And then she goes into what we call shock. That, of course, is the confrontation with chaos. It is the fire burning down her home and melting her family. And so we have entire sections of the game early on that are going to be primarily focused on stealth. So Alice is going to be relatively powerless to do anything other than sort of stumble around in the ruins of what was her life. So you can see little Alice here.
Aw, little Bun Bun.
Trying to comfort
Cheer her up.
Very sad. Very, very sad. Is that someone's skull? Probably. So yeah, uh-oh, there they are.
Waving.
Save us, Alice. It's too late. They got burnt up. So this is Shock. And from Shock, Alice will go into, it is really kind of a protective state that your mind goes into when you are confronted with trauma or chaos. And so this is Denial. It is a beautiful, lovely place. It's sort of very similar to what we've come to expect from the unsullied, unbroken version of Wonderland, the classical version of Wonderland. But of course, this cannot last because this is all a lie.
True dat.
Couple of...
Some super chats rolled in.
They did.
Yeah. What we got? Ina sends some DKK treats for Lulu.
Well, thank you.
Don't say that word.
Uh-oh. She did hear you. An eye opened. Now she's on alert.
Oh. So
she's like one of these sentries that you've woke
Lulu.
up. You can, and you could try spelling it like TER, but now she understands that whenever you're trying to spell things, it's usually about her.
She's wily.
She's figured out how to spell.
But thank you for that, Ina.
Thank you very much, Ina. And good to see you, by the way. It's been a while since we've seen Ina.
After this super chat, we should do some shout outs to the regulars. We didn't do that. Truth Decay super chats as well. Thank you very much for that.
50 Canadian.
For diapers and formula.
Wow.
Because Lulu is thick.
Thank you so much.
She is.
There is going to be a need for diapers and formula soon. My wife is very, very pregnant. She's like...
It's not that bad.
I mean, she's a lot smaller than me, but she's just become huge. It's like she's hiding a watermelon in her belly. But yeah.
Have you checked to make sure she's not just doing that?
I'm pretty sure it's not a watermelon.
Okay.
It's doing this horrible aliens. I don't know if anybody, I'm sure there's plenty of you out there who've been through the whole baby having pregnant stuff, but she's doing this thing right now that's very reminiscent of the scene in Aliens where the sort of the chest burster is under the shirt doing this kind of thing, and she literally, you'll be laying there next to her and she'll be like, look, and then there's this thing in her belly going like that. It's
weird.
Oh boy.
Tell her to stop.
We can't tell Lily to stop, but we have been reading all about diapers and formula and trying to get Lulu ready for this. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So yep, there you go. Another super chat in from John Robledo. That's how I'd say it. You've had Roger Jackson and Chris Vrenna as streaming guests in the past. Could any other actors or Alice teammates possibly join in the future?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think we'd like to have Roger and Chris back. And there, of course, are other people who are involved with the project. Didn't we have Alex on once? I feel like we did.
I think we might have.
We should have Alex on, and we should have Omri on. And so, yeah, that's a good idea. I think sometimes we forget with all the other things that we're trying to stay on top of to add that kind of content, like guests and things, to the live streams. So we'll make a note of that.
Because at this point in time, we could really do with stressing the network a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. But we could also try like a pre-recorded thing.
Ooh,
maybe. So, yeah. But thank you for the super chat and the suggestion, John. Yes, we will try to have some of the other teammates and actors and people involved with the project to come on soon. I think that's a good spot where we could also inject. And I've been trying to make this statement often recently, even though we're not allowed to say much about what's going on with the project. There is a fair amount of behind the scenes progress being made. I gave Martin the full rundown this morning.
The juicy deets.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple parties involved, not just EA, but there's quite a few conversations going on. Obviously, there's the one with EA. That's all very positive. I wish I could say more, but I can't. And then there's also a number of potential financiers and publishers, and those conversations are also moving forward in ways that are extremely positive. So I do hope to connect this to your super chat, that once that information can be announced, then there will be a lot more movement, and it'll also make more sense to start having more of these people come on and talk about what we're doing. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, who else have we got in the chat today that we didn't shout out to? The regulars.
Well, our regulars, Rachel Garza is here. Hello, Rachel.
Wendy J.
And
Priscilla's
Lucas,
here to be negative.
No, she's not gonna. She's been very positive of late, so don't do that. Taylor is here. Of course, Taylor is one of our mods on our Discord, and she helps out with our wiki. Thank you very much.
Greg
is here. Ice Killer is here and has done a super chat, and he's asked the question, do we have an art director? Because it's well beyond the time we need one with all these artwork. I have talked and showed the artwork to an artist I know, and they say Joey is the closest for the job. Well, Ice Killer, first of all, I would disagree with you that it's time that we select the art director, because we're still, as I said, in a very sort of free-form, brainstorming type of time for the project. But right now, Omri is actually the one who has taken up the mantle of, I think art director could be a title for it, but he's also sort of acting as a producer in the sense that via Trello, which is our project management software that we're using right now in this early stage. We'll move to something more complex when the project gets to be more complex. But so Omri is the one who's helping to organize all the effort that's going into the work we're doing over here on Trello. And so you can see there's all kinds of tabs filled with all kinds of stuff. We're working on merchandise for Mysterious. We're working on stuff for Asylum. There's also stuff in here that might spill over from Pirate Jam here and there. But mostly this is about Asylum. And so to answer your question, I think the easiest thing to say would be yes, Omri right now is sort of acting art director. But I don't know, and I think it's too early for us to say how that's going to work out, because there are opportunities we're exploring right now where there may be more than one art director on the project. There may be an art director with the primary development team, and then there may be an art director within our creative development team. So there could be multiple teams. We may also end up with like a merchandise art director. So there's a lot of ways this could go. So it's a bit difficult to answer exactly.
It's not so simple.
Yes, not so simple.
There you go, Ice Killer. There's your answer.
Another super chat.
Wow, they're coming thick and fast. Colourful Core.
Haven't seen Colourful Core in a while.
Been around for a while, have you? Thank you for the super chat. Says, sup. It's been a bit. I'm kind of broke, got kicked out. So I'm very sorry about not being able to super chat more. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. Since you got kicked out.
Oh no, that doesn't sound good. But even more thank you for the super chat in your time of distress. I do hope that everything works out for you, and keep some of that cash for yourself. If you're struggling right now, don't send that to us.
Yes.
It's much appreciated, but
fingers crossed.
Yes,
for your success in whatever comes next.
All right.
Yes, nice to see you again. Welcome back.
There you go. Okay, so I think that we have caught up on the super chats and the little bits and pieces going on. Is there anyone else there in the chat you wanted to say hi to? Of our regulars?
Steffi Lynn,
Ancient Child Artistry,
Mr. Curios, Ancient Child's
and
here.
Sari Doll, who I know is one of our cosplayers.
Yeah, Sari's always messaging us.
Yes.
On Facebook.
And Magus. Don't forget to mention Magus.
Magus.
Yes, all of the usuals.
Any names that we haven't seen?
There's lots of people we've never seen before. Who's Mad Honeybee? I don't know.
Who is Mad Honeybee?
There is a Mad Honeybee.
Maybe that's the question for the spam. I mean, we're close. Kind of.
What is that? What is that question supposed to be answered with? Who is Mad Honeybee? Nobody knows. All right. So back to the stage of shock and the art that's related to that area. There is work being done on this. I think we showed last week was sort of this variation on this headless fish footman and him being turned into kind of a sentry post. And I liked this. I think I mentioned before that when I saw this, the original version of this image, the first thing I thought was just what that would smell like a headless fish who's using his own head to kind of scan the nearby area. But the thing that was added here by Omri was the sense of scale.
Yeah, I didn't imagine that being that big.
I didn't either. But it's pretty cool, though.
It is.
It's cool because I can now imagine also just the sound of this adding to this very gloomy atmosphere. That is the actual thudding of his feet, because he's going to be quite big. And the big creaking and grinding of this thing as it's turning around, and the big sound of fire. You know, when it was sort of a smaller thing the size of Alice, you could have probably walked right up to it before you heard it. But with it being this size, you'll know that this thing is somewhere in the vicinity right away. But it's showing 0 again. Oh, there it goes. All right, sorry, guys.
Are we back? That was a bad one.
That was really bad.
That just died a death.
We don't actually know what brought that back either, but let's see what happens. Okay, we are back? Question mark. Okay, I'm still buffering. Yeah, you guys need to reload. We don't know what the heck happened. It just completely died.
It just fell on its ass.
Yeah. Which is sad, because it was actually doing really well up to that point. Okay, where were we? I actually think that it's probably coming up upon contest time, but we should wait just a moment for everyone to...
People should click live on the little YouTube button to catch up, just in case they're now like 2 minutes behind or something.
Good idea. So when we died, we were talking about this as a kind of... Would you call it a sentry turret?
Seems like a good description.
I believe that's what it is. And I was saying that I'm a big fan of these. I'm a big fan of these kinds of mechanics. I am enjoying Days Gone that you brought over quite a lot. And, of course, there is a tremendous amount of sneaking around and distraction techniques. And, of course, you have zombies and also these... what's the Nero is the government guys on these sort of predetermined paths, and you sometimes have to just outright avoid them, and sometimes you have to figure out ways to skirt around them. Yeah. Anyway, the whole first section in Chaos of Asylum is going to be largely based around those sorts of mechanics. I'm a little bit worried, though, that if you were playing the game in that first section and you're not a fan of that kind of mechanic, you might be like, this isn't the game for me. I don't know.
Good point.
So we might have to do one of those things where you get a brief taste of the weapons and mechanics to come, and then you go into this sort of stealthy stuff. Just to make it clear to people.
Don't weird them out off the bat. I think we're caught up.
Okay. There we go.
Spam the chat for the prize today.
Today's prize is a tube containing...
A tube O posters.
We believe it's these two. Man, sometimes I scroll to find the art I want, and I end up going exactly one through everything to get there. Okay, there we go. It's these two.
We believe it's these two. It's a good chance.
So what are they supposed to spam the chat with?
The question was just, who is Mad Honeybee? You know, deep down inside, when you really get to know them, who is Mad Honeybee?
I'm gonna let them go with that, but I'm gonna say I don't think that's the best spam question.
Well, you can do the next spam question.
I am gonna do the next spam question.
Just thank your lucky stars that the answer to this question doesn't involve an actor's hung dead son.
Yeah, well, this is true. So some new person says Lucas. Batman says John.
A B? That's
a B.
There you go.
She is your father. Yeah, so some good answers there.
Batman keeps coming up quite a lot. What's going on with that?
I am the Batman. All right, so we've got the spam filling up in the chat there for the giveaway of the posters.
Ooh, let me get my pen, my piece of paper.
You do that,
Jot
Font
this
Lord.
down.
You'd think a Font Lord would carry around a pen and a piece of paper, maybe even a calligraphy pen, a quill, and you'd be jaunting fonts all the time.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Okay, it looks like we've got enough users in the chat for the current giveaway. So here we go. 3, 2. It's Luana Nascimento.
Damn it.
Spam, says Luana. Well, congratulations, Luana. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name again. You have won the giveaway. So the way this works is you need to send an email to mysterious@americanmcgee.com and she's still spamming. In that email, please be sure to include your address, your phone number, your name, the thing you've won, and make sure to do all that in a format that does not cause frustration, anger, riots, looting.
And do it within the next 24 hours.
And do that within the next 24 hours.
Or you ain't getting nothing.
There you go. And now I think that Luana understands that. I'm guessing that's a she one, because she is saying holy bleep word.
Looks like a she, but you know what we're like, misgingering people.
Let's not misginger anybody. Okay. So where were we? We were doing art review. Now, in that early section of Wonderland, in denial, it could be that one of the only weapons we give to you is something like this. So this is the marble slingshot. And why I say that is that it's got an interesting use that is a non-offense use. It's more of a defense use, and that is you fire it, and then the NPC says, "What was that?" And
the marble says, "Ting boom."
Ting boom.
Ting boom.
Apparently the marbles say ting boom. I'm not sure about the boom part. Are these exploding marbles?
That one is, apparently.
It does say here they explode on impact.
Okay.
So this is Omri's. Now our art team, they're really pushing it with the marbles.
They really want these marbles in the game.
Ah, boy. I have to say, and I've said it several times now, I've not been all that interested in the marbles because I feel like they don't have a lot of character to them, and yet they persist. And what is it that they say about things you resist? Is that they will only persist. So as long as I continue to resist them, this marbles concept, it seems it's just going to come back again and again in different various forms.
You're never getting away from them.
No. But I think the question is, do we like this slingshot? You know, would we prefer to give her a more traditional slingshot? Is the slingshot something that's upgraded over time? You know, I think there's a couple of people in the chat. Taylor is saying, I'm not a fan of this, unfortunately. I'm not sure why that's unfortunate, but I did see somebody else mention that they were not. Now, I hate slingshots because I'm terrible at using them in any game, says Priscilla. Priscilla. We know. Anna also is not a fan of this slingshot design, so Priscilla, you're not alone in your dislike. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of slingshots, and I'm not a big fan of the idea of that as a weapon in our game, but there it is.
I mean, it has some character, which you like. You know, it looks like it's made from a jawbone, and it's got a little colourful ribbon going on, so it's got character.
It definitely has character. Apparently, it's been taken from the jaw of an insane child. Although this is more like a child. This is showing. Do you know what this is?
Nightmare fuel?
No, this is what we look like when we are children.
Yeah.
Because we are born with 2 sets of teeth.
That can't possibly be true.
Really? Are you sure?
There's no way that picture's true. That's not what kids' skulls look like.
How much do you want to...
$1 million.
Bet on this? Now, Martin just lost a bet because he wasn't aware that we all are born looking like sort of nightmares because in our skulls, when we are children, we actually contain 2 sets of teeth, and so we look like this.
I always just thought that they grew as they came through. They weren't already there.
No, there's a whole set, a dual set of teeth, and it's a pretty nightmarish thing.
That's in Yenny's belly.
Yeah, well, that's, you were one of those at one point as well, Martin. So look at that, a human child's skull with all the teeth intact. Anyway, I do believe that the reference that Omri's making here is to that concept that the Slingshot itself would be based off of a child's skull. And of course, we have an insane child here. So maybe there's some connection between this multiple rows of disgusting teeth and the teeth on top. So this was an insane child. We've now turned his jaw into our Slingshot. Yeah, I'm kind of curious, what everybody thinks about this. Obviously, leave your thoughts in the chat here and in the comments below. I'll just say again, I'm not a big fan. I do think we have plenty of other opportunities for weapon designs, but maybe this makes it in there somehow.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's persistent.
I do want to point out Lucas's comment here. He says that Font Lord owes Stickboy $1 million. This is true. Yen,
I'll pay it off over time.
Yen also owes me several million dollars because people really shouldn't make bets with me. I think I'm actually on sort of general record. I'm pretty good at winning these kinds of bets. So, all right. Anyway, just so everybody's clear, Martin is never getting paid again.
I need to be paid so I can pay it off.
No, it doesn't work that way.
$10 a month.
All right.
Ice Killer is back. Can we get a bent marble slingshot instead?
Ha ha ha.
Maybe. Shoot round corners, perhaps.
Yeah, seeking missile marbles, but his reference is to the bent fork weapon that we saw last week. So, yes, that's very funny, Ice Killer. Thank you for the $2. I don't know exactly what a bent marble would look like.
It would look like a bean.
Maybe, but maybe you could sketch up what a bent marble would look like and then send that to us. I suppose a bent marble could be like a little mini boomerang, a booma marble. Is that a thing?
Maybe.
Okay. So here we have a couple of other weapon and defense item sketches. First up is a gyro.
Maybe.
Gyro frog.
Gyro frog.
Gyro. I'm gonna imagine that that's a bit of a rolly R because it came from Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico. Can you roll your R's in a Puerto Rico?
No.
All right. So anyway, the Gyro frog is frog. I think you have to roll both those R's. But Gyro frog. It started off in Puerto Rico with the Taino people and also people in the Caribbean. Maybe some pirates were playing with that.
Maybe.
And so I'm not going to try to pronounce this Puerto Rican historian's name, but apparently he was one of the first to record reference to this. Now, I've seen these actually in Thailand. They are little musical toys. You want to bet me?
I bet you $1 million that you've seen those in Thailand.
All right, good. I'm glad that you're finally catching on. So as a tourist or a person who visits Thailand frequently, I have seen these, and I'm sure others have as well when you go touring around certain places. Anyway, they usually come sort of a two-piece set. One is the frog itself, and then in its jaws is a little handle, and you make him make a kind of clucking sound. I suppose you guys could go YouTube that if you really want to know what it sounds like, but because the mouth is left open like this, he forms a sort of wooden bell.
Right.
And so they make a very nice sound.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, what we're talking about, where we started off was that we would have Alice have one of these in sort of this basic form that you see here. And then it could start off that way, basic, but then it could be sort of upgraded to be a wind-up automaton, distraction, music, maybe even something because it's got little sticky feet. You could throw it and it would stick to a wall.
Yep.
So
I like that idea.
Yeah.
It starts out very basic. You just throw it. Maybe the upgraded one kind of tries to run away a little bit.
Yeah, something like that. I think there's a lot of different ways. Now, again, this would be something that she could have early on. So you could imagine that young Alice at the beginning of the game in the shock stage may be equipped only with something like a slingshot and a gyro frog. And then maybe those both upgrade over time. Could be that she starts off with a sort of basic one and then it gets upgraded in all metallic and armory, and it gets more features and stuff like that.
I like it.
Yeah. So that is, another item concept that's come to us. Now, I think the original concept was Jennifer that did some of these. Now, I don't know. I think these paint overs came from Omri, but Jennifer came up with a bunch of very cute designs. I think she was the one who came up with the bent fork.
Yes, that was a Jennifer thing.
Yes. Yeah, I'm really glad, by the way, that we have this sort of diversity in styles for the people who are currently working on the project. You would think, oh, hey, you're going to make a new Alice game. Let's hire up a bunch of tatted up, black hair, goth metal, I'm an artist, like angsty, but the truth is, if you do that, you don't end up with any breadth, with any range in the output of the concepts. And so I think it's really fun to have people like Jennifer, who brings a very cute and unique style, but she's also got kind of a dark sense of humor. She brings that to the project, and then we get really interesting bits of artwork like this.
We do. Super Chat rolls in from Greg. Thank you, Greg. Probably too early, but given the PC community's hatred of the Epic Store and its exclusivity deals, would you avoid them to prevent potential backlash?
Well, we definitely want to do everything we can to avoid backlash. Of course, that's sometimes a difficult road to a path to follow, because there are people in the world who are professionals at being offended at almost everything. When it comes to the Epic debacle, fiasco, conundrum,
can't be true. You can't only be on Epic if it's an exclusive. That can't be true.
That's the thing people are upset about.
I mean, there'd be no problem going on Epic if it was also in a bunch of other places.
Right, but
only.
So what people are upset about is they're being told they don't get to have a choice as consumers as to where they consume their games from, and there's great concern that because Tencent, which is a Chinese company, has invested in Epic's technology, and because at some point there was a guy who did some sort of process and networking analysis of the Epic Store architecture and communications, and it seemed to indicate that the Epic Store was doing a bunch of nefarious stuff, like it was looking into your Steam library contents, and it was sending data back to China, and it was basically being very evil. There are plenty of reasons why gamers will say, hey, I don't want to be tied to a single store. I want to have choice. If I determine that your privacy policy or the way in which you handle my data is something I don't agree with. And so I think, there's a reason to suggest that that sort of exclusivity, especially in an instance where maybe the game was already on Steam and then got scooped out of Steam and moved over to the Epic Store, you'd be upset because now you've lost all your progress there. Or the recent incident was the kickstarting of the Shenmue game. And then, of course, Shenmue announced, hey, everybody, guess what? We're going to be an Epic Store exclusive, which many people felt was a violation not only of their trust as to how the game would be published and the promises made there, but also was a violation of the Kickstarter policy. I can't remember exactly how that worked, but for sure there was a lot of anger there. Anyway, this is all a bunch of blah, blah, blah that's not getting to the point of we have no intention, no communication, no plans to go and make this an Epic exclusive at all, and especially not if it's going to go and make a bunch of people really angry. Now, of course, the previous Alice game was built on Epic's Unreal Engine. I am friends with a lot of people at Epic, and I think Epic as a whole is probably a decent company. They're also, full disclosure, like they financed or they funded partly one of our previous Pirate Jams.
They did.
So we have close and friendly connections with them. But I think it would be safe to rule out exclusivity on their store. Just keep this in mind. A couple of, or I should say all of the current conversations that are taking place with potential financiers and publishers, they are themselves publishers and financiers. And so they and those deals would naturally and automatically exclude the possibility of us being an Epic exclusive, because those exclusivity deals come only if Epic funds fully or mostly your game. So, Greg, I would say
Sleep
clearly
easy.
Yeah, I would say clearly, Greg, let's not worry about that. All right.
I think that was a good answer for $5.
Yeah, it's a complicated topic, and I don't want to sound like I'm hedging and hemming and hawing. So just to be really clear, that's not going to happen. An Epic exclusive is not going to happen because the conversations we're having with money and publishing right now, that's not going to happen. All right.
Michael Tage? Super chats. Cause I love your Alice games. You are cool, and I have no question. Frankly, just got back from a tattoo session, 4 hours on my back, and I'm not in the best frame of mind to construct a question.
All right. Well, thank you, Michael. I'm going to say Teague.
Teague.
I believe that's Michael Teague, but thank you for the $10 US. That's very much appreciated, and for not having a question, but for being kind and saying something nice, and congratulations on your 4 hours for a tattoo. Now, if it was 4 hours on your back, that would presume that the tattoo was somewhere on your front. So, or maybe he's saying 4 hours of tattoo on my back. Either way.
That's what I read it as. Any of yours take 4 hours?
They do take time. It's not a fast process. So, yeah. Anyway, congratulations on the new tattoo. Bent fork, bent frog. Everybody loves Jen. A bit of lagging. What did we miss?
It did lag a little.
Sorry, I'm cringing, says Gildoff. I'm not sure what that means. Ramandos Blades.
Super chats. Thank you, Raymando. Perhaps during slumber we could have a brief stint in Wonderland with Lizzie and Alice playing together, allowing for the gameplay we expect before stealth.
Okay, thank you for the super chat, Ramando. And so he's sending along, I guess that's $7.99 Argentinian dollars? Maybe.
Possibly.
So during slumber, we could have a brief stint in Wonderland with Lizzie and Alice playing together, allowing the gameplay we expect before stealth. Yeah, that's a possibility. So I think he's going back to the comment we made earlier about how do we preload the player with the notion that, hey, this entire game is not just going to be stealthing around with a slingshot and a frog.
Right.
Alice in Wonderland slingshot frog simulator. And so where would we slot that kind of thing in? Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity. I mean, we could start the game up. We could do the traditional Michael Bay action movie type of intro thing where we're like, the first frame is an explosion and Alice comes out of there and you're just like, you know, press R trigger to fire, and it's just straight into like shooting and gunning and blowing things up, right? And then she could wake up and maybe her mom's slapping her like, hey, stop having crazy dreams. And then into the game. I mean, there's a lot of ways. We'll just need to find something that feels narratively and, you know, kind of spiritually, emotionally relevant, correct for the opening of the game.
There you go, Raymando.
Not sure what Lucas is doing there with his 3 and his 4.
3,
but
4.
Oh, well, who knows? Okay.
What did we miss? Anything?
That's it. We have caught up on all of the super chats, so we can go back to art review.
People talking about that frog.
I like the frog a lot. I think it's a really cute concept. And I also think, hey, we could make these. We could make physical merchandise of these.
Could do.
We are making physical merchandise. We will get to that in just a moment because we do have the latest and greatest of the Cheshire Cat plush prototype, Cheshire Kitten plush prototype. So here was another concept. I think this came up. Maybe it didn't come up. Maybe it did. But anyway, this is the Tears Shield of Tears. Mm-hmm. Apparently it opens in one swoop. It's the Tears staff. Oh man, we got to come up with a name here and stick with it. Now, actually, I think Omri did send an email in which he was adamant. He was adamant. He was. This is called the Tears staff. Make sure you get it right.
Into
the Tears shield. Well, it's a brolly. It's a shield. But anyway, the idea obviously is that you could run around with this and like the ice wand in Alice Madness Return, in the first game in AMA. Every time I get one of these things wrong, I'm like, Ice Wand in Alice Madness Returns. I get an email from Omri. Hey, that's not right. That's not where that was. All right. Sorry. So anyway, this is the Tears staff. I think I would call this the Staff of Tears. That sounds more kind of RPG-y.
It does.
We may even come up with something that goes beyond that. But we did mention this previously because I said we might find this in the Vale of Tears. And the Vale of Tears has actually made an appearance in both of the previous American McGee games. I don't know why I'm referring to it that way. In both of the previous Alice games. And so I was thinking that perhaps this is something where we tie it all together. You see the Vale of Tears statue that was in those two games. But this time we get to interact with it by actually going up to it and finding the Staff of Tears.
I think so. It should definitely be in the game. Tying them all together, and of course makes perfect sense. That's where you'd find it.
Yeah, well, I think it's a fun little thing for people who played all of the games at that point to see. Oh yeah, cool. Look, this statue is back. It's amazing how back in the day we rendered that whole statue with like 3 polygons, and now the current rendition of that is just a bazillion polys, textures. It's pretty cool.
Oh, just imagine what it would look like on PS5.
Yeah. So this staff, the Staff of Tears, we would find there. And of course it has 2 configurations. One is it's going to shoot things, presumably tears. And the other is it's going to reflect things.
Yes. I like a dual purpose weapon.
So when I saw this, it made me think of the phrase "to burst into tears," which of course, is when someone hears bad news and then they burst into tears. But I was thinking it'd be kind of funny, like if someone shot at you and their projectile hit this shield and then bounced it back and hit them, they would literally burst into tears. That'd be pretty satisfying.
It would.
To turn your enemies into puddles.
So they don't actually start crying. They turn into tears.
Well, I think it could be both. Maybe if it's, depending on the type of character it is, some of them may burst into tears as in proper crying, and some of them may burst into tears as in into a puddle of tears.
Both would look good.
Yeah.
Nixot Moonbell. Super chat to simply say, "You are gods."
Not sure about that.
You are gods.
Yeah.
You're all gods.
There you go. Thanks. Thanks, Martin. Martin Reeves. Keanu Martin.
Thank you for the super chats.
Thank you
anyway,
very much.
Nixot. Nixot? Nixo?
Nixot? I think so.
You know who you are.
Yeah. There's still a bit of the conversation going on around the Epic Store.
Makes me wonder how far back they are on the stream.
I don't know.
Can't possibly be that far back. It was like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. But, Megas, these guys are still talking about them throwing money at developers and getting exclusivities. And yeah, I mean, I'm watching all that. I also expect that by the time we publish Alice Asylum, it's going to be 2 years in the future from today. And you probably all will have forgotten about all this Epic Store exclusivity brouhaha. And there's going to be a whole new thing that people got their panties in a bunch about. Don't you think?
More than likely.
More than likely. All right, we've got one more piece of art here to review. Now, this came again out of my request of the art team that the weapons have a bit more personality. And this is actually a carousel toy. So I don't know if you knew this or you know this, but people... help. People in ye olde Victorian era, they actually had these as little toys. Yeah. And so if you look up a Victorian carousel toy, you will find there's all these little handheld toys that the Victorians made of carousels. And this is an early German one, little wind up with little cars that I think have propellers on the front. There's little, what's going on there? Is that little people with propellers, or they're just sat on chairs? I see.
Little thin paper people.
Yeah. Well, so this was a thing. And once we know that this is a thing, we then can adopt this thing to be a weapon in our game. And so the idea is that Alice would be able to carry this around in her hands in a small format. And then she would be able to throw this and it would behave as a bomb. Now, I could imagine some pretty interesting stuff happening here because of the horses and the motif that we put onto this. If you imagine, first of all, that little Alice is carrying one of these around in the palm of her hand, but you then get to throw it, like with our traditional, aim. There's a little parabolic indicator that shows where it's going to go, and fire it, and it lands over there by some enemies, and then it begins to whirl. But maybe it also begins to get a little bigger, and at some point, maybe like these horses kind of become all ghostly and wraith-like, and they gallop out and they get bigger and bigger, so this whole thing turns into a vortex of hoovy death, and so that your enemies are smashed to bits, of course with the cute sound of like tinkly carousel music playing in the background all the time. So I think this is exactly the kind of thing. What I just did, I did a bunch of storytelling. We have evocative visuals, we have sounds, we have animations, we've got all this stuff going on. Now I dare you to do that with marbles. I bet you can't.
Oh, don't throw down a challenge. There's going to be another crazy marble image for next week.
Yeah. Well, so that's the carousel bomb, I guess as it were.
Well, it says bam.
Bam.
So
I think it goes bam,
bam.
I think just going bam is pretty boring. So what I just described, I think there's a lot of potential for very cool animation and particle effects and sounds and just destruction, Michael Bay style vortex of explosions and destruction and so yeah. Right. So it is now contest time, and you know how this works. You've got to spam the chat with your spam. Now this time I'm going to ask the question. And the question is, who asks the better spam the chat questions? Is that Stick Boy or Font Lord? You spam the chat with your answer to that. We will not choose the winner based on your answer, maybe. And what you will be winning is a dual poster set of a Cheshire Cat and a Queen. And that's what Font Lord is holding in his grubby little hands right there, is a poster tube. Show the people the poster tube.
I caressed it earlier. I'll do it again.
So yeah, you got to spam it up. Who asks the better questions for spam time? Is that myself, American / Stickboy, or Font Lord / Martin, whose last name shall not be uttered? Is your last name Utter?
Yeah.
It's a hard question. Stickboy.
I think you might be edging it.
Stickboys there.
Oh no.
What's happened?
Maybe I'll just not ask any questions ever again.
No. I'm just trying to make the point that question could have maybe been better. I don't know.
It's a good question.
Nah.
Let's mix it up a bit.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah. All right, now I'm scrolling through our collection of art here. I think we're getting pretty close now to...
You didn't show that off.
No, I didn't. There's a bunch of stuff in here that didn't show off, but we're going to move on to the Cheshire Cat after this contest time.
Okay.
We do have enough eligible users here in the Nightbot giveaway interface, so let's roll it and see. One-eyed skull. That's nice. We're getting some new winners.
We are.
I'm really pleased with Nightbot today. So one-eyed skull, Gary Busey says one-eyed skull. Apparently Gary Busey is better at asking spam questions than both of us.
Probably would be.
Fair enough. I'll accept that as an answer. So one-eyed skull, you have won the giveaway.
Woo!
Woohoo! That means that you need to do the thing, which is, I'll let Martin try this time.
Send us an email to mysterious@americanmcgee.com with your name, address, what you won, which is the art poster, telephone number, and do this in a format that is easy for us to enter into a shipping system. So separate lines. and do this within the next 24 hours. Or, as I like to say, you ain't getting nothing.
Governor.
Yeah. So yeah, do that. Do that thing.
All right. Very well done, Font Lord.
Yeah.
It's almost like you've heard that done a million billion times.
Maybe.
Okay, let's get over to review of the Cheshire Kitten.
I like that tiger.
The kitten is the tiger is very cool. As many of you know, there's a lot of Cheshire Kittens here. We are currently in the process of, you help me out there, doing Cheshire Kitten design. So we have 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. I believe this one in the middle. Yeah, okay, so this one in the middle. Yeah, this is the right.
No?
That one's the right one.
That one's the right one.
Oh yeah, it's got the super big tattoos on the head. Yeah, okay. So these 2 are no. These were the 2 previous designs. Now this one, I think you can see it has the old styled kind of the face, the eyes. The eyes are very angular, and also the color of the fur. You'll see it's a bit darker gray color. So this one is out. That left us with these 2. Now, there was actually another one that had a really red nose. Where's the super red nose one? Was that
the one you just threw away?
I don't know. Maybe it was that one. Anyway, then we got this one. This had kind of a peachy color to the nose, and we had some complaints about the tattoo's thickness, and also you'll notice here there is no side of the face tattoo, but this one has a big side of the face tattoo, which not only helps him have more tattoos, but it also seems to bring the face shape out a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, so that's the new one. What do you think about that one?
I like it. Pretty cool. I think we're there. I think people would be happy when this turns up through their letterbox. If they have a big enough letterbox.
Yeah. So I think that there is a bit more shape in the face now. You'll note it's not like extreme, but it's certainly not flat like it was in the initial presentations. So it is popping out a bit more. The color of the nose is better, as is the gums. And it's all sort of color coordinated. It looks quite nice. He's got his earring. There's a lot of people who comment online when they see this. They're like, where's his earring? Well, it's because the picture is taken to this side. Chill out, people. And of course, he's got these little pads that have been sewn.
Kawaii.
Yeah, very, very cute. Same the pads here. Now, one of the comments that we had about the rabbit plushes, there was more than a few people who got the rabbit plush in the mail and immediately upon receiving it wrote to us and said, there's no stuffing in the arms. My rabbit is defective. I want a refund. And they said it exactly like that. People, there is no stuffing in the arms. That's the design. They're meant to be
floppy.
Yeah, they're meant to be floppy. And so just keep in mind, this is the same. There is no stuffing in his legs, in his arms, or in his tail. That is by design.
Did they not put a little X on his butt?
There is no little X on his butt. I think
we need a 4th prototype.
We're gonna do that with the Lulu plush that we're working on. So anyway, he's got a much bigger tattoo on his head, and more tattoos on the face in general. And these face tattoos are also done up a little bit thicker, so they kind of pull through the fur a little bit better. So that's it. I believe that is our final prototype, and that we simply need to say to the factory, go, make it happen.
Do it.
Now, one of the things is this is a whole set. In the set, you will get that Cheshire Kitten plush. You will also get this is an embroidered patch. Now, there are new embroidered patches where the earring has been moved to the correct side. This is wrong. So there is a whole new set of these patches. I should be receiving them soon. We will share pictures with you as soon as we have them, but you'll see here the earring is on this side. That is on his right side. The new patches will be like that as well. And then there is also going to be a bag. Now, the image I'm showing here is not the final design or imagery that we used. We will be getting a sample of that also next week, but it will be a waterproof nylon bag of exquisite quality, and it's going to have UV reflective paint done into the design of the cat and also this embellishment around the back. Plus, there's one more crazy thing that you get. Do you know about this?
I do. I read it.
You read it on Trello, probably.
Patreon.
Or Patreon, right. This was the cover image for our YouTube live stream today. This is the Lair of the Cheshire Cat.
Cheshire.
It's got balancing rocks, so you know it's creepy. So these are some comments from Omri. He says, I don't think the Cheshire would like a place that is too big. He contempts royalty. There are balancing rocks everywhere. You could knock them down. It's a purpley place. So when I saw this, I thought, wow, does Prince live there? And yeah, so we've done up this sort of realm, this lair in which the Cheshire resides. And of course, in the previous games, we've never seen this. We've never visited this. We've never even had a notion that it exists. For Asylum, we're going to go there. And there's going to be all these fun details about it, that we find that he collects little bits and pieces, as a cat would do. I don't know if you've ever had a cat, but they like to steal your things and then hide them in places around the house.
I've had cats. I don't remember them doing that.
Maybe you had boring cats.
Maybe.
So because he can teleport around, of course, his lair is filled with all kinds of knickknacks and also knowledge and esoteric knowledge and spells from around Wonderland. And so bird bones in piles, weird red lights.
Weird red lights.
And as Omri says here, cats don't build, they take. So maybe Chesh actually took this building for himself after it was deserted, and then he kind of transformed it into his own lair.
I'm on board with that. That sounds catty.
And do you know how this connects to the Cheshire Kitten collector set?
This is what the DLC code will unlock?
Correct.
I believe.
So you will be able to find this lair in the game without the code, because it'll just be sat there somewhere in Wonderland. But you won't be able to open this door. Is that poop? It looks
the
like
poop emoji door.
Why is there a poop emoji over the door, Omri? So you won't be able to enter into the lair without the code. Now, let's stress, it's an early access code, meaning that for everyone else in the world, you don't have to buy the kitten in order to get the code, but if you do buy the kitten, you'll get the code before everyone else.
So, as we've said before, DLC codes and such will never be 100% super exclusive.
Correct.
You know, somebody who buys the game in the future will never miss out on anything.
Correct.
But other people will gain access a little earlier.
There you go.
So don't stress.
Don't Epic Store on us.
Yes.
Okay. So that is the Cheshire Kitten collector set. It is coming together. This is the Cheshire Kitten in his final form. We are going to pull the trigger to make lots of these. And of course, the best way to get one before everyone else and for the least amount of money is via Patreon. We're going to announce the sort of opening up of that phase on the 1st of July, because we're already coming up on the end of June. Only a few days left in June, so it does not make sense to do this in June. Do not adjust your pledge in June, for the love of God. Wait for the post at the start of July, and that will contain all the instructions on how to do this.
Written as clearly as humanly possible.
And in case of doubt, please email us to ask.
Don't make assumptions.
Don't
about anything.
assume, because assuming makes an ass out of you and me. Now we have a super chat.
Yes, from Michael Tiaigi.
Tej.
Thank you for that. The eyes are the window to the soul, so I love the more narrow eyes that match the image of the cat.
Yeah, I like these eyes, not only because they're kind of more narrow, but also because they're more swoopy. They've got more kind of design to them, where the previous ones were just straight lines.
Right.
But thank you, Michael Teague, for the $5. And
Thank you.
yes, good luck with that tattoo. Right. Is there anybody else's super chat hiding in the chat here?
Oh, it jumped a little. Did we miss anything there? No.
I don't think so. Somebody says, I'm still confused with the thing. I hope they're not talking about how to get the cat.
Maybe they were talking about the prize they won.
Maybe. Who knows?
Who knows?
Okay, so that is the Cheshire Kitten. That is the update on that. If you have questions, do throw those into the chat on that topic right now. So yeah, you sort of should know now how that works. It's basically the same way that it worked with the White Rabbit plush. Oh, there is one difference. For the White Rabbit plush, we asked for $45 for the plush set. That was the code, the rabbit, the patch, the bag. This time around, we're going to increase that price by $5 because there is a lot more work that's going into this toy, and there's a lot more cost that goes into the waterproof bag. The bag will, believe it or not, actually be higher quality than the previous bag.
What?
So, yeah, it's a $5 higher. And there will be a specific tier to hopefully avoid confusion.
In the past, we muddled it a little bit. We asked people to stay at certain tiers but manually adjust their pledge. It was simple-ish, but there was room for confusion.
There was room for confusion.
This time, there will be no confusion.
Right.
Full stop.
Yeah. All right.
You'd
so
imagine.
We have a few more bits of art to get to in our review. But before we do that, let's do a quick shout out to our biggest sponsors and our good friends over at Freaky Fandoms. Now, Andrew and Deborah, as I have said before, have been some of my longest term supporters. They've supported my Kickstarters, they have supported our Patreon, and they of course are at the special sponsor level over on Patreon. They run a podcast called Freaky Fandoms, and you can find that on Patreon. You can find it on SoundCloud, on iTunes, and of course at freakyfandomspodcast.com. Those links are in the description below. This week, Freaky Fandoms is having a look at Trover Saves the Universe, which comes to you from Squanch Games.
Did you see anything about this?
I've not seen anything about this, but it is from the creators of Rick and Morty, which of course is one of our favorite things in the universe. And you are even wearing a Rick and Morty
I'm wearing my
Get Swifty.
Rick and Morty sort of new. It's not just Get Swifty.
It's everything.
Wubba-lubba-dub-dub.
Oh, geez,
Peace
Rick.
Among Worlds. Get Riggedy Wrecked, son. It's all on here.
It's all on there.
So we need to talk about Freaky Fandoms a bit more because we lagged.
We did lag, so this always seems to happen. So this week, Deborah, who was recovering from surgery, and we're glad to hear that she has recovered. That's great, Deborah.
Yeah, excellent.
She spent 30 hours in 2 days. That's 15 hours a day playing this Trevor Saves the Universe from Squanch Games, and apparently she platinumed.
She got every trophy, allegedly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I watched some of the trailers, and I think it looks funny. It looks all right, but I personally wasn't sold on the gameplay. So maybe I'll pick it up when it's on sale.
They're describing it here as you could join them for some drunk, raunchy, and vulgar video game fun. Is there a bunch of drunken raunchiness in the game itself?
Well, I mean, it's Royland and Harmon, so they're swearing and talking nonsense all the time. Well, we can watch a trailer later.
We'll have to watch a trailer later. So yeah, this is interesting though. It's a VR game. We haven't really got much into VR games around here. I tried a few. I had the Oculus original stuff, and I played around with the Vive a bit, but apparently these guys are diving deep into VR, and they finished this game. So if you're interested in all things Rick and Morty, or if you're interested in VR games, or you just like drunk, raunchy, vulgar video game fun, and you want to support us, then there are worse things you could do than head over to Freaky Fandoms and support them, because by supporting them, you do support us, and hey, you could support both of us, Nobody says you can't do that.
Supportception.
Exactly. All right, that does bring us to the end of our sponsor advertisement. Let's get back to art review. So there's quite a few other pieces that we have going on in here. Now, Martin, you love this.
I like that. Look, it's a tiger in a Cheshire Cat costume. Look at his little floppy arms. What's not to love about that picture?
He looks really sad. Now, I will point out his earring is on the wrong side.
God damn it, Norm.
I'm kind of curious. Are we worried about the earring because of the old sort of, if you wear it on one side or you wear it on the other, it's an indication of your sexual orientation? Or is it simply because...
Gosh darn.
I guess, the original Cheshire Cat wore it on the right side. I don't mean the correct side. I mean as in the Yobian, the right side of his body. And so, I don't know. It does seem to come up that we're kind of confused about which side the earring goes on. I don't really care. I mean, I'm one who believes that the cat being a cat and cats being notoriously sort of lacking in decision making or in consistency, or they don't follow anybody's rules. Why wouldn't he flip the earring back and forth all the time?
Why not?
So this is basically, one of the actors in the circus, as we talked about before. In the stage of denial, we have a circus going on, being put on by the Tweedles, and this is one of the actors, because what they're trying to do is recreate reality. They're creating a false, staged reality, and they're trying to keep Alice in there, in denial, distracted from the realities of the trauma that are put her into this situation in the first place. So we're going to see quite a few actors such as this in that place. Those are some Cheshire Cat embroidered patches, which of course have the earring on the correct side. I'm not saying that one sexual orientation is correct and another isn't, by the way. I'm just saying that per the original design of the Cheshire Cat, the earring was on this side, not that side.
Very clear.
Yes. This is, of course, the sample that we now have in hand, but this was a picture from the factory.
That was prototype 2, wasn't it? Was it? No, prototype 3. It's got the big patch.
I think that's prototype 3 with the big patch on his head and the color on the nose this way. Yeah. Yeah, we need to help these toy makers to buy some sort of a professional backdrop. So here's a few more images that were sent along by Norm. These are characters for the Cheshire Realm. Now we have the red and the white pieces. And of course, we did visit the Cheshire Realm. These little dogs.
The Cheshire Realm.
Sorry, the Chess Realm. Now, I think that this area in the original Alice was actually quite cool. It was one of my favorite areas just because of the design and the texturing. It actually was one of these places that the engine at the time, which was a Quake engine, it did a really good job of sort of rendering these types of scenes. And so I thought that these areas were really cool. This was like a skybox with a chessboard overlay on it.
You can see through the black to the stars.
To the stars above, right? Yeah. So yeah, I thought this area was pretty cool. And so we will be revisiting this realm. You can see here, this is the execution of the queen by the king. There's all kinds of story that unfolded in this realm that I need to kind of catch up on, because I know that whenever I make any sort of misreference to what was happening here, Omri sends me an email. Wasn't like that. That's wrong, American.
I remember one time, it's just one of those brain farts where we got mixed up between the chess queen,
it's not
and
easy.
The Red Queen and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get muddled up when you're live streaming.
It is easy to get muddled up when we're doing this live. So please don't hold us to any of the little slips that we might make while we're talking about this stuff. But here in Madness Returns, you'll see that we did actually return to the chess realm, and we got to have another interface with... See, all I can do is say one of the characters, because I don't recall if that was Was that the king? Was that... I'm pretty sure that was the king. But anyway...
Looks kingly.
He does look pretty kingly. But anyway, we had to kind of pass through this zone. So we will be going back there. And look, this says White King.
It's right there.
Can we believe that, though? If I say that and it's wrong, I'm going to get in trouble. Omri will be emailing me immediately. What are you doing? What's wrong with you? So yeah, we are bringing these characters back. I love these little dog chess pieces.
They are cute.
That's very cute.
Wearing little ruffs.
Are you these little ruffles?
Yeah, that's what they're called, isn't it?
Ruffs. Ruffs on a ruffs.
Yep.
Ruffs on a ruff.
Ruffs on doggos.
So yeah, we're going to be going back. We're going to be seeing all these characters, and we're going to be having a lot of story unfold. That is actually the sort of content, the story that you have in the image. Is it called Save Your Queen? Sacrifice Your Queen. So we do have a piece of art that was done. It's called Sacrifice Your Queen, and it does show the... Let me see here. I'm looking this up. It does show the interaction that happens between Alice and the characters living in this realm. That is over on... I think the fastest way for me to pull that up is on Mysterious, but you can see here, it's not letting me zoom. You can see here that the king has lost his queen, and you've got Shadow Alice with her tentacle arms interacting with regular Alice. I don't know.
Where's baby Alice?
And the two sides sort of, standing facing off against each other, white and red, prepping for war.
Good image.
Now, one of the things we've talked about recently here is having this queen. Omri, don't freak out if I get this wrong, but I think we've talked about having one of the queens, this queen, I believe, represent Alice. It's a representation in Alice's mind of her mother. So that would be part of the story that's unfolding here, is that you've got the Chaos Alice is maybe representative of or connected to Alice's sister, and Lizzie, and then Mom is here kind of an agent of order, an exemplar of, maternal care and preciseness and rules. And so, but she gets whacked out. And Omri said in his email he wants to see like a bloodbath, like a Game of Thrones style. Everyone dies.
Right. Spoilers.
For Game of Thrones? Isn't that over? I'm pretty sure everybody already knows that everyone dies in Game of Thrones. So yeah, that's that was the chess pieces. What else have we got in art review here?
Well, there's a bunch of people in the chat saying, I mean, we've talked about this before, an actual chess set.
Yes.
I'm sure that would sell like hotcakes.
Yes.
So, man, that would be, even in China, I think that would be quite an expensive thing to produce.
It's not the producing of it, it's the shipping of it.
It would be pretty heavy, wouldn't it, that thing?
I mean,
if it was made quality.
For your cosplay project, what was the price we got back to ship a 1.5 kilo book?
Yeah, I used a book weight calculator, which is a thing that exists on the internet. I didn't know. And we figured the book would be about 1.5 kilograms. Pretty heavy. And yeah, our shipping people said on average that would be $21.
$21 to ship a book.
Yes.
It's insane.
So this is kind of worrying. It caused a rejiggling and a rethinking of our maths Excel sheet. And, investigate other shipping methods, tweaks to the book. What can we do to still keep this moving forwards?
Everything Miko says, what if you released the set piece by piece? You would still have to pay the shipping on the individual chunks.
That would be even more expensive.
It would actually be more expensive. We figured that out from Out of the Woods, which was there's a weird tipping point where bundling stuff is cost effective versus there's another tipping point where it's just super expensive and it doesn't matter what you do. There was actually a way to split some stuff to make it cheaper, wasn't it?
Maybe in some weird combination, I don't know. But the point being, expensive, shipping could be expensive, yo.
Shipping is very expensive. So if we were to do an actual chess set, it would have to be everyone that bought it would have to take that into account. That it would be a chess set.
$30 something.
No, I mean you'd have to charge like $100 for that.
I mean, just for the shipping.
Oh, the shipping would be like $30, correct?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would be crazy. Priscilla says, "Who cares about the price? I need that set." Philippe says, "Hollow pieces of plastic." Well, this is the problem. We have to balance the expectation of quality against the price, the shipping weight, all these kinds of things. That's why what we're doing here with a lot of the physical and the merchandise and the whatever isn't already being done, or it isn't as easy as you might think. It's actually fairly difficult to balance all those things against one another. But so back to art. This is Lizzie and Mom. Why does it say Lizzie, Mom, Red Queen? This is just Mom as the Red Queen.
Oh.
Okay. So I guess Mom got really big. She's like giant Mom. Now, I feel like this is still doing the big head thing, which I'm afraid of. Maybe it's just the ruff that makes her look like she's got a big head.
The head looks... yeah. It's okay, I think, for me.
Yeah.
Just about.
I mean, I understand that from the book, you see here, she actually has a big head. It looks a little big, which may be why in the Disney film they went with that style. I don't know. But if you look at this image, it's a piece of reference image that he's got, and the woman's got ruff around. It actually makes her head look kind of small in that sea of ruff, right? So anyway, this is something for us to think about. Omri asks some questions, like question what happened to the king. Omri, there are a lot of questions around this domain, and we will get there, but you got to give it a little bit of time. In the meantime, we're just sort of doing donuts in the parking lot of the chess realm and messing around with ideas. I remember a week or two back, someone commented on YouTube, "What are you guys doing? There's just a bunch of guessing and brainstorming going on. This sucks." And I was like, yeah, that's called the creative process. That's how it works. Why don't you point me to your finished novel or finished game that you conceived of, created, and finished and published in one day?
Without a single edit.
Without any brainstorming or guessing or any, because that would be fantastic.
Steffi Lynn, hello. Thank you for the super chat. I'd really love to explore the possibility of Mother as the White Queen, maybe. Also, cats as the white chess piece pawns. Dogs on one side, kitty cats on the other.
That's a cute idea. I like that.
Yeah.
I think cats on one side, dogs on the other kind of makes sense.
I like cats.
And that makes, our fans, some of whom are cat fans and some of whom are dog fans, that will make them happy.
I think it would.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Steffi. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you for the cats as white pieces idea. I like that a lot. All right.
Truth Decay is back. The chess set. Just price, pre-order on Mysterious, then produce. Easy.
I'm not sure I understand that. Regarding
so
the
just
chess
make them
set,
and they'll sell.
Just price, pre-order on Mysterious, then produce. Easy. Yeah, we have never done... so there are actually laws in the United States against pre-selling a product that is not yet shippable. And there are limitations on how much time you're allowed to take someone's money prior to shipping them their product. Now, that's why Kickstarter makes a big deal about saying repeatedly that they are not a store, they are not a store, they are not a store, because that's how they get around that issue. That you're not actually pre-ordering a product, you're not actually ordering a product, because if you were, then you, the consumer, have protection under certain laws in the United States, for instance, that say that once you've given a company your money, they have a certain limited amount of time in which to fulfill your order, or you are automatically allowed a refund. And in fact, the law states that someone selling things is not even allowed to offer a thing if they know they cannot produce it and ship it within that, whatever that defined. And it's like 30 days or 60 days. It's a relatively short amount of time. So yeah, no, we can't do that.
Not easy.
No, we have to conceptualize of do all the design work, send it to the factory, and spend the money to make the thing. And for instance, like when we do up the budget for these cats, in order to be in a position to send these to you as rapidly as we can, you've watched the whole production process, but if you look at my spreadsheet for costs for the things we have to do to prepare, you're talking about $40,000 US that has to be spent first on the production of the bags, the cats, the embroidered patches, and of course we've spent money on art and stuff like that. And then there's like B2B shipping of these big boxes of stuff down to the shipping company. So there's all that money that has to be spent first. And when you have clicked on Patreon, yeah, I want that, we have to send, what was the number? Is it like $50,000 or $60,000 that has to go to the shipping company?
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And all of that has to happen before we actually receive your money.
So there's a substantial cost up front to us.
It's not
for stuff.
It's not small. And that's actually one of the things I think is kind of fun and interesting about the process we're doing here, because we are, in a sense, kind of working through the process of designing this stuff. And we are marketing it to you through the process, and we're sort of pre-selling the thing to you. And that gives me the confidence to say, hey, we'll go and spend all this money up front, because we can gauge your interest in these things and feel relatively confident that that money will be recouped. And if we couldn't think that, like if I didn't have a read on how many chess sets we could sell at $100 a piece, if it felt like we can't do that, then we're not going to do that project. It's exactly what we're doing right now on the art of, or the cosplay of Alice. We're trying to gauge the audience interest in this project prior to pulling the trigger on, and how much is that going to cost up front? Tens of thousands of dollars.
Between 10 to 15,000
yeah.
up front.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the reality of making stuff in the modern world.
Speaking of which, if you are a person who genuinely thinks that they would buy the cosplay book as a Kickstarter, we would love to hear from you to sign up. So if you go to @AliceCosplayOfficial, which is the Facebook page, and not the pinned post, but the latest post below that contains a bit.ly link, which you can then click and let us know of your intent to support the Kickstarter. And then we would have a better understanding, some more solid numbers about what we could expect and whether we should be going forwards with this.
All right.
Or whether it might be a kill your babies situation. So, yeah, do that. Doesn't take long.
Yeah.
Don't be lazy.
We need to do another contest, but before we do that, don't spam yet, because we're gonna do the comment, the super chat here from PJ Calamity.
PJ Calamity, thank you for the super chat. In the book, the Red King is asleep, and it is implied that if he wakes, everything will vanish, as the Wonderland is either his dream or Alice's. That could be a goal of Shadow Alice, waking him so she can destroy and rebuild.
This is a very good point, and I think that is a very interesting concept which we should explore. I do really like the idea of, the whole concept of Alice is stuck in this, being stuck in this phase. So we're saying that, her child Alice gets stuck in this childhood phase, this loop that takes place after the fire and while she's in the asylum, and then that Shadow Alice goes forward to fight the future battles in AMA and AMR. And the concept that PJ Calamity has suggested here could be one that we could tap into to suggest that when Shadow Alice goes back and finally is face to face with Child Alice, the idea is that some sort of awakening needs to happen, a waking up of Child Alice, of the king. So I like that perhaps, Alice carries the king with her from some point forward of their encounter in the chess realm. She's got the sleeping king in her pocket, but of course the sleeping king is a sort of representation of herself as a child, and so she has to somehow wake him up or give him up or otherwise. So that's a really interesting comment and suggestion there, PJ Calamity. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
We will dig into that a little bit and see if we can't come up with something interesting there. That's a good comment. Okay, what else do we have before we do? There's one more from Lucas.
Lucas, looks like they're asking a question for someone else. So thank you for the chat. Felipe wants to know which plush will be made next.
I'm assuming this is a question of which plush beyond the Cheshire Kitten.
This one is next.
This is what we're going to be doing starting basically in a week. We're going to produce these.
But after that,
I don't know.
Let's.
We are talking in a silly fashion about doing a Lulu plush, but that's not really for Patreon. That's not really for anything. That's just sort of like us being silly. If you go and you look at, I see that our numbers are crashing there. But if you go and you look at the work that Jennifer is doing, I don't know if she put the Lulu mock-up in there, but there is a kind of a cute little Lulu idea that she's playing with for a Lulu pillow. And so that may be the next thing that we do. Anyway, let's go ahead and do our next giveaway. That means you need to spam the chat. And I think the obvious question for the spam is, what would you like to see us do as the next plush? We have done so far the White Rabbit plush. That was very well received, and you can still go get that over on Mysterious. And now we're about to start producing these Cheshire Kitten plushes. Those will be available on Mysterious at some point, but the first and fastest and best way to get those would be over on Patreon next month, the month of July 2019. So spam up the chat with what you would like to see as the next plush, and then we can see if that doesn't somehow make it into...
I would assume maybe a Lulu plush will win.
Now that we've preloaded their...
But actually, people seem to be going the Alice route.
Hatter
is getting a lot of love.
I think a Hatter plush would be really cute and really well received. Yeah, not a bad idea.
Dollhouse.
Have you seen the Lulu pillow?
Yeah, I've seen that picture.
Okay. Probably not the smartest idea in the world to download a 4 meg file while we're in the middle of streaming, but I did that.
Fine.
It seems fine.
Downloading's not.
So what are we getting for a plush suggestions? Caterpillar, Dormouse, Hatter, Alice herself.
I think Hatter is winning by quite a while.
I like the Hatter idea a lot. I think that's a pretty good one.
Caterpillar, that might be nice.
Caterpillar.
Yeah.
Could be one.
Yeah. I think Hatter wins, but
of course
they
haven't seen a Lulu plush though.
That's true.
So I wonder if they saw a Lulu plush. So this is Jen's design for, and of course,
zoom in on that.
It's got an X for a bum. I know our factory is gonna laugh at that. Why do you? What's wrong with you, silly la why? So yeah, using some of the techniques that we have talked about or used in the Cheshire Cat and the White Rabbit, for instance, embroidered on elements for the face and of course the bum, and there's just basically bits of sausage sewn together to create this soft plush thing. I don't know about the size. I think Jen was suggesting that it could be something akin to like a wrist rest, like
I seem to remember reading that somewhere. Is it even on this picture?
There is another picture where it's shown, but
right.
Yeah, this is the basic design. So, but again, this is not really something serious. This is obviously not related to Alice Asylum or to Patreon or anything like that. This is purely just sort of a mysterious, silly offering. So we'll see. We may or may not do that.
Maybe.
All right, let us do our giveaway. And
Roll it.
Taylor.
Ooh.
Speaking of Lulus, she's got a little Lulu in her as her icon there. So congratulations to Taylor Goen. Of course, she is one of our mods over on Discord, and she helps out with all kinds of stuff, including updating our wiki. So congratulations, Taylor. Much deserved. You're going to get 2 poster prints sent to you.
Brilliant.
And, I think she knows the drill. Email to mysterious@americanmcgee.com. Include your name, your address, your phone number, the thing that you won. Do all that in a format that does not frustrate, and also be sure to do that in the next 24 hours. There you go. She's still talking about Lulu. I'd love to see some of Jen's concepts made into plushes, like the cute card guard. Ooh, a card guard plush would be fun.
Would it have a hole in the middle, or would it just be like a black piece of, something?
That's a question to be answered once we get there, Martin.
I'd like to think it would have a hole.
Okay. A hole in its heart. Really quick, you do only have a few days left if you want to jump on board over on Patreon to get this art print. Those of you that are doing the 3 for $35, you can select this either now or in the future. So if you decide to become a patron, or you are a patron and you want to get this, there are multiple ways you can do that, or at some point you could just go over and get it off of Mysterious. But that is this month's art print.
Brilliant prints. I've seen 2 versions of this, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen one where the playing cards are not on fire. So I'll have to find out which is the besterest one.
Well, there's
before we go
whatever the new one is, exactly. Yeah. I think we're getting pretty close to the end of art review here.
We come full circle.
We may have walruses and shields and Cheshire Cat domains and haunted houses. Shadow Alice was in here because Shadow Alice was a large part of the topic of this week's crowd design session. So if you have questions about the general story of Alice Asylum and the role played by Shadow Alice in that story, then I highly recommend you go and check out the most recent crowd design session, because we spent a fair old amount of time talking about that topic. Yes, we know that there is lag.
Let's do a lag plushie.
A lag plush. What would that look like?
Not sure.
A plush that doesn't load. It doesn't arrive. Right. So yeah, this is Shadow Alice, and do check out the most recent crowd design stream. We do our crowd designs, those chat sessions almost every week. And again, this week we talked about Shadow Alice, and what was the other topic of this week? Oh, right, the intro.
Yes,
storyboards.
Yes, cinematic doodah.
This is a recent piece of art from Omri. It's just showing off the design for the train stations that we're going to find littered around Wonderland. You could imagine that these would be, in modern gaming, these are sort of your fast travel access points. And this one, of course, is inside the botanical garden, an image that was rendered up by Joey. And so a train station has been dropped down in the middle of that. And I think I said to Omri via email, each of these stations will have a kind of an interface board, and it may have all of the potential locations listed or chalked in, but until you're able to access one of them, it's grayed out or it's not as clear, and then this will eventually load up with all of the potential places you could travel to.
Okay.
Do you use fast travel in games, or do you prefer to hoof it?
Generally, when I start an open world game, I don't use fast travel. I like to explore. Even at the slowest pace, I will just walk from one point to another. I won't run. But sometimes I'll get bored and I'll start fast traveling. However, like I've said to you, with Days Gone, I rarely fast traveled. I just loved riding around on that bike.
Right.
No matter how long it took or where I had to go, I just loved bombing around on that thing.
I'm hoping that I will be able to install a bigger gas tank at some point. I seem to be running out of gas all the time.
The gas mechanic is really weird in that game. When you first start, yes, you run out a lot, but it's also available everywhere. It's like, why even have this as a mechanic?
Yep.
But, you get used to it.
I wonder why there's a murder of crows atop this train station. Interesting.
No.
We'll have to find out from Omri what his intention was with those crows. He did also mention to me that one of the motifs that we're going to find throughout the game is faces. That wherever you look in the game, you're going to have the sense that faces are looking at you, and that's because there are subtle faces hidden in all of the designs. And so you can see here some eye face kind of business going on.
I can see.
Yeah. It can see you too.
Oh my God, I'm never going to sleep again.
You look into the face and the face looks into you. More characters from the circus. So this is someone dressed up as a facsimile of the carpenter. And a fairly cute one at that. He's got his little fishy tattoos.
Yeah, it's a good pick, that.
I like that a lot. He's almost like a tattooed character who you could get as a tattoo. Like Tattooception.
Right.
Yeah. This is the Cheshire Realm. Again, we mentioned would be something you'd gain early access to. The Cheshire Tiger.
Cheshire Tiger.
I think that's about it. We've come full circle on art review.
Yay.
Do you have anything to say about the dog tags?
They are at our shipping people down in Shenzhen. They have been given a boatload of money to ship these out. They've been given the first batch of patrons' details to send them to, but they do seem to be taking their sweet time about it.
That's strange.
Yeah, I emailed them yesterday to ask what's going on, so maybe they'll reply back today.
Yeah, maybe you should poke
But,
them.
yeah, I imagine these will be being sent out really soon.
Right.
To the first batch of people. So yeah, it's all laggy. It's all bitrate went down to 0. So
Is that what people are saying here?
they will.
Ah, I see.
Yes. To summarize, everything's moving forwards with the tags.
Cool. That's it. We have done art review.
Should we go through some patron comments?
We can go through some patron comments, and we have then made it to the end of our 2 hours, and the lag gods only hit us with lightning once.
One major bolt, but a couple of close calls.
Yeah, guys, we're really sorry about lag. We're doing our best to try to reduce it. I think today, at least we got through the 2 hours, sort of.
Almost. We've got 10 minutes before we make it through the 2 hours.
Right. So let us have a look at comments over on Patreon. So this is to the most recent post that we made. Of course, it contained all the art that we've done in art review today. And so we have various comments here. Kayla saying she really likes the design of the lair. Wendy saying she's not sure how she feels about the family being in Wonderland. Now, I know this comment thread kind of blew up. There was a bit of a discussion back and forth. And so there's some concern about whether or not we introduce the family inside of Wonderland.
We have pictures and concept art about that, haven't we? Like all the Mum, Dad, and Lizzie looking like terrible beasties, mechanical monsters.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a little bit confused by Wendy's comment, because actually one of the things that I think is fairly constant in the Alice games is the idea that the characters in Wonderland are representations of real life characters that Alice, has known from outside of Wonderland. So I don't know why we would resist that idea now. Don't know. But yeah, so there's a bit of a back and forth here. The idea of Wonderland counterparts, that is what she's saying here. Yes, there are counterparts, but she's also suggesting that every counterpart has done something terrible to Alice. I don't believe that that's the case. I don't believe that every Wonderland character is a sort of enemy of Alice's, nor do I believe that every counterpart character is necessarily, doing something bad to her in the real world. So yeah, I mean, remember, some of the counterparts in Wonderland are actual just reflections of Alice's own personality. So by default, she's not done horrible things to herself, even though those aspects of her psyche in Wonderland may appear to be doing or attempting to do bad things to her there in Wonderland. Anyway,
well answered.
Interesting back and forth on that topic. What else have we got?
Austin, I want Chesh to have his own world. Well, it looks like that's happening. And says also the mother as the Red Queen could work well. Likes that a lot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to finding out what sort of mysteries and secrets and fun things lurk inside the realm of the Cheshire Cat. Now, we've said that the code you get with the Cheshire Kitten unlocks the Cheshire Cat's sort of castle, his lair. What we've not said, and we probably won't design or decide for quite a long time, is what's hiding inside of there. Because you're not just getting the code to open the door. You're getting the code to open the door to get the goodies that are inside. And in a way, this is a sort of cheap trick that allows us to not decide exactly what the code unlocks until some later date.
Yeah.
But we will, I think, chock the Cheshire's lair full of all sorts of interesting goodies.
I think so.
Yeah.
What's this one? Samantha Gebby. Will there be a chance to get the rabbit in the future? Yes, it's available over on the Mysterious store.
Well, that's what Steffi tells her.
Yeah. Thanks, Steffi.
Thank you, Steffi, for doing our job for us. Would love to hang out with Chess. Yes, please. So there are quite a few suggestions. Chris here was giving a suggestion for Alice's mother's name, because apparently we've never named her in the games, and I don't know if she's named anywhere else that would be sort of in the fiction of the Alice universe. So Chris suggests Hannah, which is also Hannah spelled backwards, just in case you wanted to know. And it's borrowing inspiration from Gilbert and Sullivan's Redigore. So these were contemporaries of Alice, and they also have a mention in AMR. So, okay, Hannah is a suggestion. We will make note of that.
Good name.
So Alice's mom, the given name is Lorena Hannah, but I think just shortening it to one would work. So there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Another post, this was the Slumber to Chaos post that contained the storyboards for the opening of the game. By the way, if you've not seen those, go check out that post and check out those storyboards. They are a lot of fun. It does show Alice making a snowman, which we have suggested will become a snow rabbit.
Snow rabbit.
Snow bunny?
Yeah.
And so we see her interacting with her sister. We see the introduction of Nan, but unfortunately Nan is rendered here in a way that makes her look like Pris. And then, of course, we see fiery death, melty face, snowman, screamy descent into hell, Alice in the Asylum nonsense. So yeah, that was a pretty interesting conversation we had around all that.
Discussed quite thoroughly on Discord.
We did.
Which is, like we said at the beginning of the stream, it's up on YouTube now if you want to take a listen to that.
So, PJ Scott Blankenship says there's a kill your darlings moment we need to have about the snowman. So he's not a big fan of the snowman. He thinks it would be better if Alice was sneaking around the house while there was a dinner party going on and Bumby lies in wait and Alice has to navigate around, or maybe Nan Sharp. So basically there's a whole sneaking sequence at the start here that adds tension to the opening while introducing stealth mechanics. I like that idea. I like the idea of there being a bit of stealth mechanics already happening in the early section of the game.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Instead of escaping monsters and beasties, you're just staying out from under the feet of
adults.
Adults, parents and whatnot. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of Nightbot flirting going on right now, by the way. Lots of professions of love and affection for Nightbot, hoping that they'll win the final prize of the day. So, yeah, PJ, I think that there's some good ideas contained in here. I would ask, though, why we couldn't have both the Snow Rabbit and the sneaking. So that's something we'll have to think about. What else have we got here?
JM just loves those storyboards. There has to be what? This has to be the beginning of the game. I'm so hyped. Yeah. Yes, it is the beginning of the game.
It is. Priscilla is confused by the storyboard When is it placed, actually? Correct me if I'm wrong, but as I remember, wasn't it the rabbit that warned Alice of the fire and woke her up? Priscilla, that is correct, but you also have to keep in mind that when we come back to tell this story again, we are allowing ourselves shifts in perspective. This is not going to be a one-to-one recreation of the way you saw things in the previous games, the same as, say, for instance, in Alice Madness Returns, we modified Alice's sort of perspective and recollection to remove Dinah knocking over the oil lamp and reveal the true source of the fire having been Bumby. So, you might ask, well, why did we ever show the cat knocking over the lamp? There's a bunch of different ways you could answer that question. There's sort of the here in the real world answer was we didn't know that we were going to have Bumby burning the house down when we wrote the story for the first game. But if you wanted to do an in-universe answer, you'd say little girl Alice didn't actually see what started the fire, or if she did have some inkling of who started the fire, those memories were suppressed. And of course, in her little girl imagination, she would have come up with an explanation that didn't cause her the sort of trauma of realizing that someone had murdered her family, right? So when we come back to this for Asylum, and you want to ask, wasn't it the rabbit that warned Alice of the fire? Maybe that's the way it was interpreted and viewed in the first game, but doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the way we view it in the second game or the third game or so forth and so on, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the beauties of working with this kind of material from a writer's perspective is that so much of it is subjective. So much of it is based on a perspective of a character who is in the midst of a massive trauma. So therefore, everything she recalls, everything she hears, everything that's happening to her is malleable. It's suspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Ina Super Chat says,
hello, Ina. Welcome back.
It's been awesome to hang out with y'all again. What are your go-to comfort things for dealing with a bad day?
Good question. Well, thank you for the super chat.
I know. It's kind of weird. I don't really have a thing. I just chill out. Watch a movie, play some games. I like to have scooter rides. Just go out. Go nowhere in particular, just around the area at cruising speed. See what I can see.
Well, you've just listed several things that are your coping mechanisms for having a bad day. So going for a scooter ride, I think that's a fine coping mechanism. It's a good one. It's defined in it. I know you, and I know that helps you. Yeah.
It's fun.
It is. I hate to admit, but in the past, I don't know if I hate to admit, but I'll have to admit that in the past, one of my coping mechanisms was drinking alcohol. And that is not necessarily the best way to go about it, but it is because it deals with alcohol affects the part of your brain that is being bothered by whatever happened in a bad day. It suppresses the emotional reaction that you're having to whatever trauma or whatever incident that day bothered you. So it's literally a numbing agent for emotion. That's why people become alcoholics. I used to turn to drinking because I'd have days where things were really tough and I just didn't want to deal with it. And so alcohol, many people have found, is an excellent way of numbing the negative response you're having to whatever it is in the world that's bothering you. But having been through the cycle of, trying to use that as an agent to avoid my issues or to cover up the bad days that I was having, I would say, no, that's not the way to go about it. I think many people probably already realize that. But if you're struggling with that aspect of how to deal with bad days, I would say one of my favorite things I've been doing recently is exercise. For instance, we go swimming quite often now, and I find that on the days where I go swimming, I'm in a much better mood. On the days where we don't go swimming, I feel a little bit down. So I know exercise is a very good natural way to deal with bad days.
That's what they say.
There you go.
Colourful Lulu Core is back. Thank you for the super chat. I need your blessing for Nightbot and I to marry.
Well, Colorful Core, we are not the boss of Nightbot, and Nightbot does not listen to us. In fact, Nightbot is a very unruly child who we very often struggle with ourselves to understand, control, and so forth. So can't help you there. But
sorry.
I would recommend you find a better person to marry, to be honest with you. Nightbot's kind of crap.
Ice Killer super chats to say that in Tim Burton's Alice movie, Mum's name is Helen.
Great.
Okay.
What was
is that canon?
the cat's name in Aliens? What was Ripley's cat's name in Aliens?
I do know this.
Anyway, my point is, it's about. It was Jonesy, by the way, but it's about as relevant. Ice Killer. I don't want anything to do with the Disney films. So, no. But thank you for the super chat. But no.
Thanks. Yes, but no.
We try everything we can to avoid anything and everything to do with the Disney movie, with the Tim Burton stuff, because we don't want to get sued. So, no. All right. It is now contest time. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to ask you to spam the chat with your selection for what the art print is that we're giving away. Does that make sense? Spam the chat, and we'll see which art print you all kind of make the most noise about, and it will be that art print that is given away. Does that make sense, or should we just let the person who wins
choose a print from the store? The question could still be like, which is your best favorite art print?
What is your favorite art print? But whoever wins this round gets to choose any art print from the store. How about that? So if you look over on Mysterious Collections artwork, there are 6 pages of art.
Don't choose one that's not available and says coming soon.
No, don't do that. Jeez, people would do that. If it's sold out or unavailable, don't choose that as your winning art print. So yeah, there's all these art prints.
Still got 2 mushroom heads.
I know, we got to fix that. Was the intention to have one with swirls and one without?
Eventually, maybe.
Oh, we'll make a note that I need to remove that from the shop, please. Can you do that now is what I'm asking. That would be helpful. So yeah, there's quite a lot of really cool images over there, and there's a lot of cool images on the way. Don't choose this, for instance. Queensland Gate. We need to remove that from the shop because it's completely sold out. Rapunzel, we completely sold out of. Blue Knight is sold out. Don't choose those. Please, for the love of God. Do we actually have any more of those Belly of the Beast? I thought we got rid of all those.
We might have a couple. I do like that picture. It's really fun.
I'm always surprised that it didn't sell more. I thought it was a really cute picture. That was from Out of the Woods.
And that's sort of Joey representation of Little Red Riding Hood. So like the little girl with a black eye with screws in her head. I think it's just fantastic.
Remember, we got a comment on Facebook from someone who said, this is totally inappropriate to represent child abuse as something I'd want to buy as a piece of art. And what was our response?
Get bent, probably.
Get bent. Get bent, governor. You know what? If you don't like it, look away.
We could do a game around that version of Red.
Maybe we ought to do a game called Get Bent Governor. That would actually be kind of fun. I bet that already exists. How much do you want to bet?
A game called Get
There's
Bent.
already a game called Get Bent Governor. Now, how should I
go?
Should we do it like that?
Well, have a try.
It's showing results for there's no such thing as
Get Bent.
Get Bent game. There's Get Bent Gaming as a game company, but there's no. This game, the game is rude. It told me to get bent. No. Maybe we should. One of our next Kickstarters should actually be a game called Get Bent. You know what I would like about that though is that we could adopt a persona of just not giving a flying F when it came to people writing customer support issues.
Every single reply,
just get bent. I have a problem with my order. Get bent. I don't understand how the tiers work in your Kickstarter. Get bent. You guys are rude. Get bent.
Maybe
I would. We could just do that just as a cathartic. This goes back to Ina's question about what do we do to relieve stress.
Be silly.
Well, we started a Kickstarter campaign called Get Bent. Oh boy, there's still tons of people coming in here. All right, I think we're ready to go. We're gonna roll it. 3, 2, 1. Michael Teague. There you go.
Michael Teague.
Michael, you apparently charmed the pants off of Nightbot. That may or may not have been as a result of your super chats. Who knows? We do think Nightbot can be bought, but we don't have it set up that way. Anyway, so send a message, an email, they call them emails, to mysterious@americanmcgee.com. Please let us know these critical things: your name, your phone number, your mailing address. Do all that in a format that we understand and can read easily and can copy and paste into the mail generation, the mail label system, and not get frustrated or angry or annoyed. And then also be sure to tell us which art print you want. That is critical because you get to choose which art print you want. Now, please choose an art print that we have in stock over there at Mysterious. Kind of scroll around on the art pages and find an art print you like. And yeah, we'll send that to you. And you only have 24 hours in which to... He's saying Teague.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I said. It's exactly how I pronounced it.
I know, I was just messing with
all right,
my
Michael
pronunciation.
Teague. I got it right. So yeah, that is it, Michael. Congratulations, and thank you to everyone else who gave us all of your suggestions for your favorite art prints. There was quite a lot. There was 2 Alices. There's Denial. There's Cheshire. All Your Fault. Chaos and Order. Hatter Tea Time. Flamingo. I really like the Flamingo art print. I think that's a really good one. I think Blue Night is also one of my favorites.
I'm surprised that doesn't sell more or get chosen more. Flamingo.
Flamingo gets...
But at this point, people get to choose from like 20 plus prints now. It's not like there's one clear winner.
It is. There's a lot. Clean
Red
your room.
Chesh.
Red Chesh is a beautiful...
And gets chosen a hell of a lot.
It does. It sells a lot. I like that poster a lot. All right. Well, that is all of it. Nightbot broke a lot of hearts just now. Sorry, everyone. If I could have given you any advice, it would have been don't give your heart to Nightbot. It is a creature of the night, and it is a robot. And as we all know, robots have no feelings, and they are programmed to destroy and break your heart. So...
Kill all humans.
Kill all humans. Destroy. So the Daleks. Daleks.
It's exterminate.
All right, guys. That is it for today's live stream. We're gonna wrap it up now.
Should we tell them to do some things?
Yeah, there's some things you can do. You've all seen this before. We're gonna click over here to... I don't know where it is. There it is. Go for it, Font Lord.
Go to AmericanMcGee.com. You'll find a handy-dandy list of 4 things that we would quite like it if you would do to support us and Alice. Number 1, sign the mailing list. Why not? Sign up.
But not your dead grandmother.
Not your dead grandmother's email address. Has to be a real one. Fake ones don't mean nothing. So, yeah, do that. Follow social media stuff. Facebook,
Why
Twitter,
can't you say
Instagram.
my name? What was that? You stopped. You stopped short of saying my name.
Follow Americans' social media stuff. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Yep. Support us via Patreon. We also get like goodies and stuff over there. So that's excellent. Have a look. Have a look at what tiers are on offer. It's fantastic. Got a great little community over there as well. So support our Patreon. And finally, we have the Mysterious store. And yeah, got loads of stuff on there. T-shirts, wallets, posters, books.
Rabbits.
Greg's junk.
Greg's junk. You can literally buy Greg's junk.
It must still be there.
Of course it's still there. Of course it's still there. Why would we ever remove Greg's junk from the shop? It's right there. Greg's junk can be had for $19.99.
There you go. It's official. It says the SS Greg on it.
And without a doubt, Greg's junk is a pleasure boat. There's no question about it. So you can even get Greg's junk over on Mysterious. And your purchase of a Greg's junk does actually go towards helping to support all of our efforts here and all of the silliness.
Yes. Yeah, those 4 things over on AmericanMcGee.com.
Steffi Lynn sends us super chat, and she asks, thank you, Steffi, for the $5. She asks, will there be more mini prints? Yeah, actually, mini prints are relatively easy for us to do. I guess, Steffi, if there's a mini print you want, just email me. Just send the message to mysterious at americanmcgee.com and say, I would like bleh as a mini print, and we'll add it to the shop, and you can do it. That's not a problem.
All right.
I actually have it on my to-do list to add a ton of mini prints to the shop. I just never seem to find the time in the day to get to that one. Because one of the problems is I don't even know where to start. We have so many art prints. I don't know which one to turn into a mini print first. Maybe I should just start.
Just start.
Yeah,
just the beginning.
Just pick a place and start. All right. That is it. I think that we're good to go. Greg says he is cheap and affordable. Well, your junk certainly is. So yeah, anybody wants access to Greg's junk, please head over to Mysterious.
Put bent marbles in a lag bag on the shop.
A lag bag, that would be great. All right, everybody, it has been absolutely wonderful. It's so good to see all of you that are here with us regularly, and many of the new faces, including Michael Teague, who I don't think we saw before. Congratulations, Michael, and everybody else on the junk that you won today. Be sure to send your email with all your stuff to us, and we'll get that sent out. And I think that's about it.
Yeah, we made it to the end.
We did.
Yay, VPN.
Yay, finally. We'll see you all again next week. Have a good one.
See you later.
Don't forget to jib it up. Bye-bye.
Bye.